Welcome back. In this video, I'm going to share with you 3 tips that will help you raise your consciousness set point and escape the clutches of the matrix. If you listen carefully and apply these 3 tips, you can begin to raise your vibration and start stepping out of the endless cycle of feeling like a victim of the outside circumstance and a slave to reality. It takes the willingness to do something different in order to start feeling different and reacting different, and by extension, attract something different. We know this from neuroscience. It is a well-known fact now that our subconscious programming predicts and predicates our reactions to virtually everything. In a way, we are victims of this programming because once we get a stimulus, our reaction is almost always going to be the same, depending on the neural pathways created in our brains from ages 0 to 7 and exceptionally to 14. These neural pathways are created through socialization and the trauma that we all have, no matter how great we think our childhood was, that we carry in our subconscious mind. So in order to do something different, you need to start to lay down some ground rules. Number 1, stop complaining. Completely stop complaining. It's going to take some work. I'm not going to lie that it's an easy task, especially since everybody around you is doing it constantly. And chances are that you've been doing it for most of your adult life. The way to actually start transitioning into the no complaining state is to start noticing it, both when you do it and when those around you are doing it. Once you start noticing, you're going to see how obscene the actual amount of complaining we do in a day is. Complaining can take many forms. Start noticing when you complain about your child not studying as much as you think he should, or the dishwasher not being as efficient as you'd like it to be, or your colleague being a dick, or the weather not being as warm or as cold as you think would make you comfortable. What are you actually doing when you're complaining? Complaining is holding your banner high and waging a losing battle with reality. When you argue with reality, the resultant effect is tension and frustration. It hurts. It causes a rift inside of you. So start noticing. Start catching yourself in the act. Start catching yourself before the act. When you start doing it more and more, you're going to see when it's coming. The wave of complaining is upon you. It's a wonderful, wonderful vibration fix that will surely begin to raise your consciousness a notch, more than a notch. Number 2, judgment. Stop judging other people. Just stop. In her books, Katie Byron, creator of a self-inquiry process titled The Work, which has helped an incredible amount of people get out of the misery of constant stressful thoughts and be able to listen to their internal wisdom. What she says in that book is that there are 3 types of business: your own business, other people's business, and God's business. The only business that doesn't cause stress is your own business. And what causes stress is living out of your own business. When you think this person, for example, should be more punctual, let's say, or more accepting, or whatever else, you're mentally living in their business. When you're worrying about a plane crash, about earthquakes, or about death, what are you doing? You're in God's business. When I'm mentally in your business or in God's business, there's a rift. There's a separation from your own self, your own consciousness, your own reality. If I'm mentally in your business, who's out here living in my business? Not me. I'm separate from myself, and then I'm wondering why my life doesn't work. To judge someone, to think that you know what's best for someone else, is to be out of your business. And this causes misery. Do you know what's right for you? That's your only business. Work on that before trying to be all up in other people's business. Release the need to judge, and by extension, to gossip. You have no business talking about someone who's not in the room. This causes tension, it causes stress, it causes negative vibrations. So next time you're feeling that, maybe ask yourself whose business you're in. That will bring you back to yourself, that will center you, it will bring you back to your body, and the only business you have any business being in. Stop judgment, and this will take you one step further to shifting to a new state of being that's vibrating higher, and it will raise your consciousness set point even more. Number 3, drop your stories. There are 2 things that weave the fabric of what we call reality. The actual circumstance in the outside world that is neutral in charge, it just is. It's just reality. It's out there. It's happening. And then there's the stories we tell ourselves about it, which are mainly uninvestigated and untested theories that are what causes us extreme misery. The question we need to ask ourselves here is, are you looking out into a mirror or are you looking out of a window? The answer to that is invariably, you are looking into a mirror. Everything outside of yourself is a reflection of your own thinking. You are the storyteller of the reality you are perceiving. And by extension, the outside world is a projected image of your own stories. Imagine this situation. You arrange to meet someone in a specific place at a specific time, right? So this person doesn't show up, but the very next day you have to jump on a plane and go live forever on a deserted island or something with no connection whatsoever to the rest of the world. Now, this is an example that I'm giving you in order for you to realize what I'm talking about. There are 2 stories in this instance that you can tell yourself regarding the person not showing up the day before you left. So he either didn't show up because something terrible happened to him, right? That absolutely precluded him from showing up, or he didn't show up because he disrespected you and your agreement to meet. Now, what's the only reality available to you? That the person didn't show up. You know nothing else about it. And what are the stories about the reality? That either something terrible happened to him or he disrespected your arrangement. Are either of these stories true? There is absolutely no way to know. So how would you spend the rest of your life on the deserted island, holding on to either story? In absolute misery, right? You would be sitting on the beach and mentally living the pictures of an imagined past. And how would you spend it if you dropped both stories? You would probably move on with your life on the island, simply being with the reality of what is, enjoying the sun, sitting on the beach. What do you know? That the person didn't show up. And that in this moment, you are just a person sitting on a rock on a deserted island. Can you live with this truth? With either of your stories, suffering. Without the story, no suffering, and you'd be able to go for a swim or 2 maybe. So what does the person who didn't show up have to do with the problem? Nothing. Your problem is not the person, it's your story about the person. Hell here, hell there. Peace here, peace there. In dropping your stories, there is one story in particular, which is the ultimate destroyer of your vibration. And that is the story you tell yourself about yourself. your beliefs and your trauma, although this isn't the video to talk about the trauma, I still have to mention it. They create your reality. If you keep telling yourself that you need this and that to be happy, and you need this and that to disappear in order to be peaceful, then you'll never be happy. You'll never be happy because you're always jumping to some point in the future, which is not even here. You're not leaving the now. If you tell yourself that you always struggle with money, then you will always struggle with money. If you tell yourself that you can never attract the right partner for you, then guess what? You'll never attract them. Why? Because all the stories you tell yourself become a self-fulfilling prophecy. These beliefs are deeply ingrained neurological pathways that have been created in your mind and that are there without you even being aware of them. Some of them are deeper than others. If you missed my video where I talk about my Vipassana meditation, when I went on a 10-day silent meditation course, I talk in there about sankharas. I recommend that you go back and watch it. So when you hold on to a story, whatever that story may be, it's going to be repeated over and over again until there's resolution. That's what the universe is giving you. The only purpose of this universe is expansion. And the way for it to expand is for you to learn the lesson and expand your consciousness through that. So when you're facing challenges, don't think of it as a bad thing. Think of it as a gift from your higher self that's showing you this challenge in order for you to resolve it so it doesn't bring it back in a more intense way. As always, I am sending you love. May all of you be happy. May all of you be peaceful. May all of you be liberated.